media, the different types of materials and techniques used to create art. And the first one we're going to start with is drawing. Drawing is such a primary medium, or primal medium, I should say. Drawing materials are going to cover dry media and liquid media. And I always have questions about dry media or drawing techniques, and really you need to stick to these. And with painting, if there's a question on painting in Chapter 7, stick to those items mentioned there, okay? Liquid media is really ink, and it's drawing. It's not painting, okay? So here are some key terms. We're going to get into those a little bit. So for drawing, the coloring is the pigment, same as with painting, same as with ceramic glazes and fabric dyes and all kinds of things. But pigment is either an earth-based pigment, like some colored minerals, or it's plant-based. There's a lot of different things that can be used. Charcoal is one, which we'll get into. Binder is a substance that allows it to be shaped, so you can't just have a pencil made out of pure carbon that doesn't have some kind of binder in it. It doesn't want to stick to itself. So artists draw on a ground, so that's usually a preliminary coat of paint applied to a surface. That's not always the case, but usually paper has some kind of treated surface. Sometimes it's raw. Okay, so paper originated as papyrus. That's the first known use of paper. Before, when people were doing writing, it would have been cuneiform type things hammered into rock, into slabs. But the Egyptians had papyrus, plant fibers, are beaten to a pulp, mixed with water, and then spread in a thin layer over a fine mesh and left to dry. Very similar to the way paper that we know it is made today. So I had a question there, who invented as we know it? This is for my live class. So the Chinese invented paper as we know it, and that's made more of plant fibers other than the papyrus. Papyrus was very crude. It's kind of like, if you think of plywood, that's kind of what papyrus was like, only it was paper. Paper, as you know, and everybody's very familiar with that substance, it's different layers often of pulped up wood, but it isn't just beaten fibers. They're pulverized, okay? The Islamic cultures, they capture some paper makers in 751 of the Common Era, and also paper spreads through the Buddhist texts coming from India and through China and Japan and Korea and so on. Then they get paper because they get the Buddhist texts, and they discover what that's all about, both paper and Buddhist at the same time. Okay, so dry media, it's a stick form, graphite, soft crystalline carbon. So it's combined with a little bit of clay, and it's encased in wood. That makes a pencil. You can also get solid graphite writing instruments. I think they come with drawing kits. And that has a little bit of clay to stick it together. Metal point, not really used anymore, but this is the precursor to the pencil. It's a silver wire set in a holder, kind of like a mechanical pencil. And if you had a specially prepared surface, it would leave a trail of metal particles on like a paper or a canvas. This is a beautiful visual for this, our metal point on paper. The thing about metal point, and once graphite pencils and other types of pencils were created, this metal point sort of went by the wayside. It's not very forgiving. It doesn't erase very well. It really connects to the paper a little too much. It binds to the paper. Okay, so you have to know what you're doing if you're going to use metal point. And this is Filippo Lippi, 1480. He's a master in the Renaissance, so he knows what he's doing. He feels comfortable with it. He also goes back in with white here, and that's probably gouache or white chalk. So different types of dry media. A stick form charcoal, it's charred wood. It's usually willow, but you know that if you've ever seen vine charcoal, those literally are vines that are burned in a very specific way so that they remain as charcoal. They don't burn to ash. Crayon is a waxy binder. We all know that. We've all worked with crayons. Pastel is a non-greasy binder, probably with a gum arabic or a chalk. And then chalk is not actual chalk. I think it's something else, calcium, something or other. But it's a kind of a chalk mixed with a pigment. Okay, so we have a beautiful visual here from George Seurat of the cafe concert. And he likes his pointillism, as we might remember, and he likes his dots, making up a very fuzzy sort of image. There's a figure here singing, which we can barely see. She's almost sort of haunting us, it's ghost-like. And then these hats. He left his paper very rough. You know how paper can be super smooth? Well, handmade paper can be quite rough and have a lot of cotton fibers in it. This worked for his means because he wanted to break things down into a series of dots. And if he's going to draw, this is the kind of thing he wants to do, and rub the material sideways on it and get the edges of let the edges sort of fade on all this imagery. Okay,